इस देश की जनता पक चुकी है।
One second. Are you saying so? Because you no, I am not being stupid. I'm
कभी तंत्र मंत्र का झांसा देकर
You're an ignorant man.
सन्नाटे को चीरती सनसनी कर फिर देगी दस्तक।
Does your party have the guts? Does your party have the guts against the lynch mob? Tell me. Would you find attempt to murder?
Talking.
When did our journalism, the way where we collect and send out news, become this?
Kachar, pachar, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. People are talking about this one issue. And I just wanted to look up कि actually में matter क्या है. So I turned on the TV, put on a news channel, and then didn't even realize was I watching a Sasbo drama or some factual relevant news.
We feel no regret in saying that there is a problem with Indian journalism. In fact, most of the times when I'm watching NDTV or Headlines Today, I'm reminded of an Ekta Kapoor soap opera. It's incredibly sad when you can't tell the difference between what's supposed to be news and what's supposed to be a Sasbo drama. But it gets even worse when you think about the transformation India's news has taken throughout the years. From going from an act of informing and a public service to now being a constant pursuit of which channel gets the maximum TRPs. That said, we have to acknowledge that not all journalists or all news is sensationalist. In fact, we take great pride in sharing that Barkha Dutt of NDTV received India's first nomination to the Emmys a few weeks ago for her coverage on the Kashmir floods. But this is the same Barkha Dutt who also was criticized for her reporting on the 26/11 attacks in Mumbai, in which terrorists used the information that she was providing on air.
From the Radia Tapes in 2010, in which Barkha Dutt was allegedly involved in, to the SR leaks in June, Indian journalism has been crumbling under the burden of unethical practices. A recent report titled Untold Stories: How Corruption and Conflicts of Interest Stalk the Newsroom ranked India on the same list as Syria, Iraq, and South Sudan. Yes, that's worse than the FIFA ranking too. So one of the biggest issues that has surfaced has been paid news. I know Indians do have a tendency of paying their way into things, and it's really unfair to blame journalists alone for this practice. The origins of unethical practice of paid news go back to the liberalization of Indian economy in 1991. Small, unknown companies at the time paid the news networks to write good things about them just days before their stock became available to the public. What happened then? The initial stock of those companies was sold at a higher price than it was supposed to. A small payoff to the media houses made the companies far more valuable. What did the news houses and journalists get in return? Bonuses and stock. This is probably one of those places where privatization brought more corruption.
Leave the corporate sector aside. Everyone has more or less heard some media corporation belonging or at least being biased towards some political party. But corruption even happens at local level. 2008 state elections ke time par, local newspapers took money from unknown candidates to print good things about them. Now, I want to explain how an ad works. You buy ad space in exchange for money. People know that it's a paid advertisement. You don't buy articles, you don't buy news. You don't pay the media to write good things about you. According to various estimates, political parties in the world's largest democracy are pumping about 30,000 crore rupees into vigorous campaigns. You could buy 3,000 crore Maggi noodles, and you thought this was a waste? When media was privatized, the assumption was that they would be able to talk and report freely, including matters related to influential people. News is meant to facilitate greater accountability of public personalities and reduce corruption. But when the media itself indulges in corrupt practices, especially during election campaigns, पूरी की पूरी democracy का मजाक बन जाता है.
It's only fair that we also talk about what's being done to stop the misuse of media in elections. In addition to proposing that paid news be made an electoral offence, the Election Commission of India has also monitored candidates' expenditures. There are limits to how much the candidates can spend on campaigning, and the election body has also made it mandatory for political parties and individual candidates to report their expenses on advertising. But पंगा तो ये है ना कि like every other law in our country, इन सब rules को भी किसी ने नहीं follow किया. Election Commission hasn't disqualified any candidate ever. PCI या Press Council of India के पास कोई authority नहीं है. In the absence of real investigative powers with the PCI, including powers to conduct search and seizure operations, it is extremely difficult, often impossible to track illegal transactions in cash or kind. What's absolutely frustrating is that PCI अपना काम करना ही नहीं चाहते हैं. In April 2003, when a photojournalist tipped off the council on the corrupt practice of ads being published as news for a fee, instead of investigating the matter, council ने क्या किया? मीडिया कंपनीज को बोला कि बेटा गलती हो गई, अच्छा प्रॉमिस करो कि आगे से नहीं करोगे, ओके? यार इतनी बड़ी मीडिया कंपनीज, बच्चे हैं क्या ये लोग? बार बार गलती करते रहते हैं एंड उनको छोड़ दिया जाता है कि गलतियां हो जाती है सबसे. नहीं, गलती ऐसी नहीं हो जाती किसी से भी. They know no one's gonna do anything about it, तभी अपनी मन मर्जी करते रहते हैं.
Even worse than paid news has got to be the use of blackmail becoming rampant. Like in 2014, two girls from Rohtak, Haryana became an overnight media sensation after supposedly standing up to harassment by local college guys. They were known as the Rohtak Sisters. The girls became heroes, and everyone, from the politicians to the media, applauded their bravery. But a few days later, a new video comes out showing the same girls beating other men in similar circumstances. It turns out, after further investigation, those two girls who were applauded as heroes turned out to be scam artists trying to make money out of such a sensitive issue. You see, it's good that citizens are becoming more aware, but it also gives media way too much power to misuse. In the video you saw, these two girls were made overnight sensations, and the guys had their lives ruined without a single news channel fact-checking their source. What's even more disappointing is that no mainstream television news channel, the ones that aired it continuously over the 3 days, issued an apology for their misleading and wrong reporting. More than ever, now we're getting reports on people fearing the media as they blackmail them for favors and money. For example, in 2012, Sudhir Chaudhary and Samir Ahluwalia, senior editors of the television channel Z News, were arrested for allegedly demanding 100 crore rupees from Jindal Power and Steel Limited. In return for this payoff, they offered to stop the network's campaign against the company in the coal scam. The blackmail was exposed when JSPL chairman and Congress MP Naveen Jindal conducted a reverse sting on the network's executives.
We keep saying that कि media वाले सब TRP के लिए करते हैं. But like, what is this TRP? Basically, there are companies that provide TVs to a random sample of people. In theory, these people are free to watch whatever they want, so that the TRP companies can measure which shows or channels are most popular. But obviously, that doesn't happen. TV channels pay off the TRP companies, who in turn ask the people with the free TVs to watch only specific channels. In simple terms, it's as if a person buys likes on his Instagram picture only to look more popular in front of his friends. Pathetic.
India, more than 1.2 billion people, 814 million voters, 800 languages, and 89 billionaires. India's gargantuan news market has 82,222 newspapers. Delhi alone has 16 English dailies in circulation. It has close to 800 television news channels, 124 million broadband internet connections, and 1,500 radio stations. In a country so socially, economically, culturally, and politically diverse, one would assume that competition would drive the journalists to produce the most legitimate stories and to ensure inclusive, truthful, and insightful coverage. Sadly, realities on the ground paint a completely different picture. And it's essential that that picture changes. Well, that was our first video. Comment below, tell us what you thought about it. And if you want to learn about something, message us. And we'll love to do it.
भाई वो सब तो ठीक है, मैसेज किसको करें? नाम बताया तुमने?
पहले नहीं बताया था?
नहीं, भूल गए थे.
Oh.
So yeah, this is Sudhi and I'm Anhad and we started Mann Marzi. क्यों start किया?
यूं ही बेले थे.
So yeah, comment below, let us know.
Subscribe. Is it on?
Yeah.
Are we recording right now?
Yep.
So do we start?
Yes.